What's up, friendos, and welcome into Leading Off. I am Chris Welsh. That is KC Bubba, and we are brought to you by PrizePicks. Promo code Leading Off. 100% match equals free money for you. Go and do it today. We're going to PrizePicks here in just a little bit. There are lots of things to talk about. The 1 week countdown has officially begun. Bubba, cars were exploding in your world over here. Chaos is happening over there. How are we doing, man? I think a literal car blew up in front of you.
Yeah, it's Friday, so let's just take the positives in this one. It can only go up from here. It's been a wild morning, but we're gonna talk some baseball. We're gonna head into the weekend. We're gonna have some fun and see what we can do for the listeners.
I almost did the gravest of grave thing I could ever have done. So if people follow me on Twitter, you'll see I always tweet out like 2 minutes before the show is live. I tweet out the link and it's like, hey, come hang out and watch with us, blah, blah, blah. While we're in our little pre-video, I'm kind of racing a little bit today. And I had pasted the StreamYard join link on the thing, and I hit send, but I can undo. And I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have 40 people that are gonna be trying to get in here and listen with the
$8 ever.
Yeah, that was the one time the Twitter thing really paid off because I could undo it because I pasted the come and join us on the show link instead of here's where you can watch link, which would have been
a fun one.
It would have been brutal. If you got fantasy questions for this final week, pop them in the chat. I will get to them a little bit later. We've got a little bit of Welsh and Corbin Carroll. Where are we? Where are we at?
We got a Friday edition.
We do have a Friday edition. We've got homer calls. We've got bets. Bets were okay last show. I think I was 2 for 3. The one that I was most confident about, Senga. The others were really good. So we'll get to all of those. But first, we're going to talk about the big call up, which I got to be honest with you, at every moment of this season, I've been like, I thought we were done. I thought we were done here. Nope. With about 10 days left in the season, the Rays are calling up top prospect Junior Caminero from Double-A, 324 average, almost a 400 OBP, almost a 600 slug, 31 homers between Double-A and High A. Caminero is uniquely an amazing prospect. He is in the elite class. The Jackson Holidays, the Jackson Churios, and I had tweeted like, I'm actually shocked that Churio wasn't the guy that beat them there. We know that there's obviously some need in that shortstop middle infield with the Rays and everything that's going on. I just didn't quite think that this was going to be the thing that was going to go on. But Caminero has got an absolutely beautiful swing. He has superstar potential. Been playing a lot of third base recently in the minors, so that's another thing to pay attention to. But he's going to get a 10-day trial run with the major league team here, probably going to hit a little bit lower in the lineup. But this is, top of tops type of prospect. So a lot of you have messaged me about like the leagues you play in where you can, grab a guy and keep him into the next year. And you guys will be like, should I keep Jackson Hall? Like those are the type of prospects that are out there. Caminero is one of those guys. And this is even furthermore reason that they're showing for next season. He's probably going to be vying for either starting third base or starting shortstop spot. He also will not be going to the fall league. So Caminero's up with 1 week to go. Are you is there a level of speculation? We kind of seen how these prospects have gone. It's been okay. Some of the guys after a little bit get going. Jason had a really hot start. Is Caminero somebody you're looking for in desperation?
For myself, no, only for the reason is the Rays only play 5 games next week.
Good point.
And everyone plays 6. Like there's like 2 teams I think that play 5. Most play 6. 4 teams play 7. Something along those lines. So the 5 games really hampers things, especially say he only plays 4 of the 5 after that point. It's just limiting your upside for the final week of the season. I'm excited to see what he's doing. It's a good move for the Rays. It also signals, Brandon Lau fouled a ball off his knee on Thursday night and looked horrible. He could be missing some time. Luke Raley is a mess with his shoulder. He felt numbness, couldn't feel his fingers after a swing on Wednesday. So Caminero should play for sure. I'm just not sure how much. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And it's a good move for the Rays because they can use the loophole if an injury takes place. He can join the postseason roster. So if they like what they see or whatever, he's at least going to get some reps at the big league level, get him ready for the postseason. And that's why I want to ask you, why isn't Jackson Churio up with the Brewers for that same reason? Because, Yellow's back issue and others, that seems like another kind of loophole guy that they need.
Yeah, I think it's organizational philosophy that's involved in here. I wonder I wonder if there's a possibility that the team feels he's still not ready in some capacity and they want to manipulate, a team like the Brewers, maybe they might not quite value this extra pick stuff they've got a lot of young guys. You're going to have next year Garrett Mitchell Garrett Mitchell. You got Sal Frelick, you've got Weimer, but you've got all these guys in the outfield that maybe they don't think he's assured
That's
to
fair.
crack the roster, so they want to manipulate a little bit. Now, I've been thinking about this Rays situation. You brought up something I think that's interesting because multiple people are like, oh, hey, he could play for the playoffs. And it's like, well, no, he can't because he wasn't up by September 1st unless there was an injury. But I kind of been thinking maybe you don't bring him up at all unless you're going to play this injury card. Maybe
that's what I'm saying. Like when you saw he got called up, that's the only reason why I feel like you call him up. Otherwise, why isn't Aranda up or something that they've been doing it all season with?
Yeah, you've got a million guys. You've also you've got only 10 days just to get the tiny taste. I'm not really sure that would have been the play. Honestly, I thought the play for him would have been, going to the Arizona Fall League or even just playing pretty heavy Dominican Winter League stuff for more at bats. So the only play to me is that they are going to long-term injury and it's like Lau is completely off the roster or something like that. And then they'll get to use that injury card. That would be the play. That'll be interesting because we have seen the Rays do this. Remember, he who shall not be named anymore made his major league debut in the playoffs for the Rays. So this wouldn't be really uncommon. And I am now leaning off of the initial thing that Caminero might be going for the playoffs and might build the magic, the majesty, the everything that hold I'm trying to think of the word.
It can give a taste, like a boost to a team that's a long season. You bring this youth movement in here and gives a little jolt, basically.
Yeah, it's like the stigma, just the legend of Caminero. That's kind of more what I'm trying to say. Like the legend of him as he who shall not be named kind of did that in those playoffs. Caminero has the opportunity to do that here. So maybe it's something to pay attention to. If you're trying to get some more power, I don't think speed is in the cards. He's still 5 bases across 2 levels. I will say cut his strikeout percentage from high A to double A from 25 to 17% this year, upped his walk percentage as well, and has been an elite home run hitter with 30 plus. This is a real deal guy. Now that I'm thinking about it, with how teams have used prospects, I would not be shocked if we saw him hitting 3 for the team, and that would be really telling. So pay attention to it. Definitely a guy in your guys' weird keeper leagues where you can pick up these players that you would want going into to next year. But that has to be the last of the big rookie prospect call-ups.
Like
here
you said, though, we keep thinking that, and here they keep coming. It's ridiculous.
Well, the crazy one would be one of, I don't want to say gunner, but one of the middle infielders for the Orioles goes down, and then it's Jackson Holliday's up with a week left, and they're trying to manipulate the same thing. But then you're going to have a whole PA thing. A couple really interesting pitching performances. We've talked a ton about streamers over the last couple weeks. Well, yesterday, Emmett Sheehan, career high 9 strikeouts, allowed 1 run, only went 4 2/3 though, so wasn't in the decision against the Giants. Sheehan ending out strong is a really important thing because he has all the potential to start next year and be a starter in that Dodgers rotation with all the chaos that's going on.
Yeah, it's been an overall, to me, lackluster, disappointing season. I don't know how you want to phrase it for Sheehan with all the expectations. Back to the minors. He's pitching out of the bullpen. That was his 4th appearance since coming back on September 2nd. The longest he's gone in a game so far. He's looked much better. So I'll give him that much. Like you said, finish the season strong. Could be good because this Dodgers team is struggling for pitching.
Yeah, my worry about him next year a little bit is going to be how deep they're going to allow him to go. But you can spend a whole offseason doing that. You can work it out and figure it out. It doesn't have to be a big deal.
They might have a fall league where he could stretch himself out some more, just saying. But
he did it last year, actually. He was here last year, and he was shined.
Shows you how much I paid attention.
Yeah, he shined. He was one of the best pitchers that was out in the Arizona Fall League last year, and that kind of push. That's why it's always interesting to pay attention to. Tariq Skubal, season high 10 strikeouts over 7 innings against the A's. The A's are always gifting us these magical performances, and Tariq Skubal is adding to his legend. That's even the word I was looking for even more with Junior Caminero. The legend of Tariq Skubal continues to grow. He has been dominant. And then the other one to throw out is Reese Olson. Held the Dodgers to 1 run over 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, and a win on Wednesday. He has been crazy. Tariq and Reese are not the same in that, you've got like different type of streaming options out there. But like Tariq is not a streaming option. But you look at these performances of these pitchers, we're getting a lot of payoff. Gets me a little bit nervous about today because there's a couple of those big pitchers that have been growing. Cole Reagans is that version of Tariq Skubal, and Gibson Long is that version of what Reese has been. And I really hope it's a continued payoff here. But, Tariq is probably top 35 next year, top 30. Maybe I'm being conservative.
Yeah, I had this conversation on a show last night where he was in the middle of pitching when we were talking, and he just keeps dealing. I saw a stat this morning. Spencer Strider, for pitchers with a minimum of 70 innings pitched, Spencer Strider 30% K to walk. Tariq Skubal second at 27.7%. He's been great since coming off the IL. This is everything we all hoped he'd be. He's working his way, I feel like, into a top 30 fantasy starting pitcher, honestly. It's the innings concern, and I don't know how. It's because he's coming off the injury. He's getting a good chunk of innings this year, which is going to help. I think he'll be at least 150 next year, barring health. And if he can get 150 of this, my goodness, top 30 for sure.
It's going to be a really, really popular pick. Like he's going to be one of those guys, very, very popular for people to try to round out their rotations.
But don't sleep on Reese. I like the Reese call. I've been promoting him for a streamer for quite some time. He's been a quality start machine.
Yeah, and I think Reese is pretty good throughout. I actually think his 2-start next week is probably Frank Stanfield and I were going through this. His 2-start is one of the better 2-starts next week. I think it's Ryan Pepio theoretically might have a lineup for it. Yeah. Reese has it, and he's near the top. And we were kind of going through some of those streaming options. Gibson Long, I think, is lined. Well, no, now he's completely pushed off of it because he's going today.
Yeah, Reese and Pepio, and
I'm forgetting somebody that I was yapping about.
There's one that's not like Hauser's one, Blackburn's one. They're not like elite options. Michael King is your other one.
Michael King, that was my guy. Michael King's
going with. I was setting it up. That was how we were working.
I couldn't get there. My brain is not working today. Michael King's my number one next week. It doesn't matter for anybody. Michael King won,
and it's two really good matchups too.
Reese has the even better matchups. But of the two, if Pepio were to go 2 starts, I'm still Pepio number 2 on this. It would go King, Pepio, and then Reese. 100%. Frank had Pepio at number 1. It sounds like you agree with me, though.
I agree with you. Even though the Colorado start, we don't worry about Colorado anymore. He finishes against a Giants team that who knows. They just called up a kid, Fitzgerald, who played well on
Tyler
Thursday
Fitzgerald,
night. But like, we're at that point of the season for the Giants right now where he wasn't even on the radar a long time
ago. They
ago.
Designated Paul DeYoung. They're just like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, he's gone. This kid. Brett Crawford finished his career on the IL. It's just a whole thing in San Francisco. But I noticed that with the 2 starts last night, the schedule. We did a big blub in the bloom final week breakdown of every possible thing you can think of.
And those are what I'd be looking at. And Jacob said here, it's Kansas City and Pittsburgh, and he's 100% right.
Great option.
It's like the best. So those would be your top 3. I guess we're just jumping into that for a second here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the weekend streamers, but if you're looking for next week, those are your top 3 targets. Pepio is the dangerous one because he might not line up. I'd also say to everybody, everything is moving. Like we did this on Monday, and Gibson Long was supposed to pitch on Thursday. Hendricks was they're moving rotations, so guys could move out of 2 starts. The good thing about those players is they've been so dominant. You just take that start that you're going to get.
Yeah, there's like so many that might not even go a full start their second start. Like some teams like the Twins are going to be locked up. Philly's probably locked up. So the Maeda, like Nola starts on Sundays probably don't even happen. There's just like so many things along those lines. Like Gossman's supposed to have a 2-start, but Toronto might have a play-in game for the wild card, so they might move Gossman from Sunday to that play-in game. Like you got to look at those kind of scenarios where you might want these guys that we're talking about streaming because they should be pitching no matter what.
Yeah, Sabo is listening to all my shows because I couldn't stop saying, you know how that happens sometimes? Like sometimes my brain just doesn't work, which is happening today.
But with you.
But like you get something in your head and you're talking like in podcasting, especially with doing this type of stuff, like there's a difficulty in like having stats and having the process of where you're going, especially when you're hosting, when you're leading the show. So you've got like these multiple paths that you're trying to get into the same direction. And if something gets locked in your brain, you're done for. And for whatever reason, Michael Young kept being locked in my brain. So like I'm talking with Frank on CBS. I said Michael Young like 3 times. I think I did it on ITL before. I just could not stop saying it. So now that you've done that, I'm probably screwed. So let's not talk about Michael.
One of my
I did it, Michael King.
One of my horrible ones is Logan Webb. I say Brandon Webb all the time.
God, I loved
Yeah.
Brandon Webb. I
Yeah, all the
loved
time.
Brandon Webb.
Without even thinking about it, and I'll get like a message on Twitter after someone listens to the show, and I'm like, "Oh, my bad."
You're like, whoops, I did that. Speaking of pitching, Sandy Alcantara,
Yep.
he had a rehab start. We thought he might be like Tommy John at that point. Felt good. 4 scoreless innings on Thursday in a minor league rehab start in AAA, which is so great because the Marlins are obviously they're in the tight race with the Cubs and the Diamondbacks here. I think we're going to see Sandy next week, and I'm shocked at that. That's one of the most shocking things. There's a real possibility in some of your redraft leagues that he might have been cut because people were like, oh, he's done for the year. And it's a must. He is one of those musts. Even though things have been weird, it's still a must scenario if he were to come back out. So interesting,
agree.
weird, also dangerous. Feels a little bit dangerous.
Very dangerous, but 4 shutout innings with 4 Ks and a 40% whiff rate looked pretty promising.
Yeah, well, it's I mean, for Sandy in AAA is not fair. It's just Sandy in the majors has been
Jackson Trio got a hit off of him though.
Yeah. Oh, well, he might be good for the majors sometime. The other only little note here, Matt Olson, 2 for 6, 53rd home run of the season against the Nationals. He keeps going. The gift that keeps on giving, my friends. On the streaming options, I want to throw these out to you. I've got a couple Saturday and a couple Sunday. I want to see if you sign off on them. These are just the most viable options, whether they're good or not. On Saturday, if you guys are looking to stream this weekend, because now we've already given you streamers for next week. Jordan Wicks is going up against Colorado, but it's not in Colorado. And JP France has been moved to Saturday, it looks like, against Houston. Can you get down?
Not against Houston. He's on Houston.
Or against Kansas City. I think it's still Kansas City.
Yeah,
he is on Houston. Which, if any, would you get down with in desperation of pitching needs for the weekend?
Wicks for sure. I'll take Wicks all day. Yeah. I've been a huge Wicks fan. We talked about it on the show. That heavy changeup limits the strikeouts from time to time, but I'll take Wicks in that one for sure.
100% agree. I actually think that might be the best of the weekend. So I would try to get.
I like his teammate on Sunday. You have written down.
Okay, and then on Sunday we've got Javier Assad, who's going up against Colorado. Edward Cabrera has a start against Milwaukee. So you like Assad more than Wicks?
Just for the strikeout upside. Assad over his last few starts has been a strikeout machine, actually. So I'll take the upside there in that one. But so both, I think they're both great pickups.
I think. I know I've said this a lot and it's annoying, so apologies if you don't like my terminology, but if you're hugging your ratios, I think Wicks is a guy.
Wicks is phenomenal for ratios, 100%.
And if you're chasing strikeouts, you go Assad. The Cubs pitchers are the best way. Cabrera's fun, but he's very volatile against Milwaukee.
Volatile. He could blow your whip up in a moment's notice.
Yeah, and I think he will. So you'd have to be really chasing strikeouts. And I think Assad is just a better option and probably more.
And the Cubs have a better chance for a win, too, if you need it.
Yeah, it's more viable anyways. All right, let's look at some listener questions. You guys have really pumped it out here. Lee said, points league next week. I need to sit one. Burns at St. Louis, Clevy versus San Diego, Garrett versus the Mets and Pittsburgh, Maeda versus Oakland, Colorado, Kirby versus Houston, Texas, Skubal versus Kansas City. Who do you sit out of those 6? So there's a couple 2 starters in there.
I don't think Maeda 2 starts, by the way. I already said that. Whew, that's tricky. I guess I sit Clevenger.
I was gonna say Clevenger too. I just don't know. Like the second start of Garrett's fun, but the Mets early on might not be great. So like,
Garrett's pitching really well right now.
All right. Well, my gut said Clevenger, and I think you said Clevenger.
So. The one start with Clevenger. It's either that or Maeda. Maeda versus Oakland's awesome because I don't think he makes the Colorado start.
Okay. Should I stream Crawford or Sears on Sunday? That is from RM.
Crawford or JP Sears against Detroit. I do JP Sears against Detroit.
Yeah, Sears would be the one, but go with Javier Assad.
Look at the other options you have available.
Yeah. Sabo, by the way, is calling Jason Hayward for a final week league winner possibility.
Yeah, talked about that on last night's show. The Dodgers get 4 at Colorado. Jason Hayward, David Peralta would be phenomenal pickups to start your week.
Yeah, I'm down with the Jason Hayward one. He's continuously surprised. Matt said, why can't I click it? Should I start Bryce Miller at Texas tonight?
I'd say yes. He's been that good lately, but I understand your trepidation.
If I was in a points league, I'd have no issues. If my ratios are tight, maybe not. If I got a good lead in pitching, I might avoid.
That is 100. I completely agree with that.
Laser and Blazer. and Taser. Josh Naylor or Nate Jones rest of season? Nate Jones.
Nate Jones is good a full week in Coors.
No, Nate Jones. Whips, OBP keeper league, keep Vlad or Seager. I heard you're out on Vlad. That's what he says.
Yeah, well, Vlad at his cost because people will still pay for like a second round Vlad, and I'm not there. So give me Seager. I'll take Seager over Vlad. His OBP skills are elite. I'll take it.
My deal with that is I think they're close. They're like really, really close. I probably still lean Vlad, but I don't hate it either way. Like if it's just, I don't hate it either way. I wish I could give you more of like a dominant, like, oh, it is clearly this. I don't think it's clear. Seager's still got lots of injury issues. He doesn't have like an advantage of stolen bases over Vlad. Vlad has picked it back
Vlad's
up.
Got a messed up knee again.
Yeah, the injury, but you got an offseason going into next year. I lean Vlad. I lean Vlad on that one, but I'm fine either way.
Yep.
All right.
Michael Impo real quick asked the Royce Lewis thing. We won't know news before your Tovar decision. I hate to break it to you.
I think aren't we supposed to get news today?
Today, but he says his replacement's Tovar. It starts at 2:20 Eastern. We probably won't get news until the beat reporters get to the stadium and they talk to the manager, which will probably be after that.
What is that? Just a lineup lock for today?
I don't know if it's daily. It doesn't say. I don't know if it's daily or weekend.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably a weekend one. I would go with Tovar.
You got to go Tovar. You got to do the safe thing.
Yeah, don't mess around with it. I would go with Tovar. Yeah. You guys like any waiver streamers for tomorrow? Luzardo versus Pavetta, France. Well, we talked about Wicks, Quintana, Budo, Cutter, Assad. We talked about Assad.
I like Budo's matchup. He's been actually really good.
What about Luzardo?
Luzardo's outstanding for the ceiling, but no, he can blow you up. I'll also mention Quintana. You may keep mentioning ratios with Wicks. Quintana has been a quality start machine. Yeah. No strikeouts, but he's been awesome when it comes to ratios.
And then the answer is yes, you should pick up Sawyer Gipson-Long today.
Yes, you can't get it right. You can get it right if you pick him up, yes.
Yes, you absolutely can. So, all right, there you go. Those are some good questions here. We'll see as we're kind of going if we can answer a few more here. All right, here is a hint for where we're Welsh and Corbin Carroll. Disappointment. Disappointing. Disappointment and disappointing are the guesses for where we are. You guys can take a guess at where that is. We'll do that here in just a tiny bit. I was going to do some MLB race, where the wild card and stuff is, but I'm not going to. We'll look at it next week.
That much.
Yeah, we'll look at it
next week. One thing we covered on last night's show. There are 8 teams out of the 30 teams that are going to be battling next week between the National and the American League. It's going to be wild.
It's going to be really, really close. So
Seattle controls their own fate. Their next 10 games are between they either play Texas or Houston. The 2 teams are battling.
So probably like Monday. We'll do a little peek in every show next week as far as where everything's are at. On the injury front, according to Sportsnet's Ben Nicholson Smith, Alek Manoah received multiple injections in his pitching arm in recent weeks and shut down for the season. So all that chaos of him just pulling a Matt Harvey and sitting in his hotel room, eating Ben and Jerry's and not coming out because of Adriana Lima. Probably not Adriana Lima, but that was Matt Harvey. He was just getting shot up in his arm and there's a bunch of issues. So that's the thing with Alek Manoah. Max Fried on the IL with lingering finger injury, which is not good. And Wilson Contreras on the IL with a wrist injury. So no bueno across the board there. 3 up and 3 down. Ozzie Albies went 4 for 6 yesterday with a homer and 4 RBIs. Your number 1 second baseman. That's not named Mookie Betts, who does qualify now. Lindor, 2 for 4 with 2 stolen bases, trying to push maybe a little late push for a 30-30 season. And I literally put the stats. I didn't put the person's name. I believe this is Zach Eflin. I think it's Zach Eflin. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts. I just put the stats. That's funny. On the 3 down, Jake Irving went 2 2/3, gave up 5 earned runs. Marcell Ozuna 0 for 5 with 4 Ks, and Logan O'Hoppe 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Not great, but that's a catcher position for you. What is great is PrizePicks. Promo code leading off. Get a 100% match up to $100. Pick all of the great options, strikeout combos. You get hitter combos. You can do the unders, the overs. They've got really unique choices across the board. We personally love doing the fantasy scores on pitchers and hitters. There's a hit run RBI. There's lots of options over at PrizePicks. So use that promo code. Get some free money. Start playing today. Bubba, how are you constructing some PrizePicks today?
We're doing some combos on a Friday. Take us to the weekend. Cole Reagans, Framber Valdez over 11.5 strikeouts. These two faced off last week, and they combined for, I believe, 13 strikeouts. I like that upside there. Waldichuk, Gibson Long over 10.5 Ks. Gibson Long might get that on his own. And Waldichuk's actually been a strikeout guy, so I like that. as well. And then Brian Hayes over 1.5 total bases in Great American Small Park versus the struggling Andrew Abbott.
Okay, I like those. I like to do the combo meals. Though what I'm disappointed in is if you're going to do a real combo meal, you got to do all three as combos. So you got to take your other one off and just go full combo collection.
You think a guy of my stature would understand that? And I just totally.
I will say, I don't know why, because they're actually not that good. The number one road trip snack I go to every single time are combos. I don't eat combos in my entire life. I don't eat them any other place in my life, but anytime I'm driving somewhere 2 hours or more, for some reason, I look at them and I'm like, those look really good. Then I eat 7 of them and I'm like, these are gross. These are my mouth is dry. Ugh.
My version of that's like when you're on your road trip, you stop at like a truck stop to grab some stuff. Out of nowhere, I'll get like a bag of the Gardettos. Which I would never buy anywhere else. It's like a bar pack. It's got like pretzels and little like
yeah.
And then like same thing. I'll eat like 4 of them, and I'm like, should have got like chili cheese Fritos or something.
Also, if you get the wrong combos, they stink. Like my wife complains every time. She's like, "These smell like crap. They just stink." And I'm always like, "Combos sounds great." Yeah, exactly. Just throw them out. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why, but just speaking of combos, the number one I need to break that trend though, because they're gross and they're not that good, but these are good over on PrizePicks. So combo it out today. The betting market. So what are you doing on the betting market today?
Picks for the
my PrizePicks. Yeah, if you guys care, if you want to hear. Corbin Carroll's score going 8, and I'm going with a couple strikeout overs. Gibson Long at 5.5 and Cole Reagans at 5.5.
Kind of on the same page there.
Yeah, so I mean, really, if I was being really fun, I would have just picked another strikeout over, and then I could have gone all strikeouts. But it's Gibson Long, Reagans over, Corbin Carroll fantasy points 8 over as the Diamondbacks continue to roll. Betting, what do we got on the bets?
I'm going to stick with Brian Hayes. Get over 1.5 total bases at plus 100. Corbin Carroll, this is great because you like the fantasy points. I like over 1.5 total bases was plus 135. That got my attention going up against Luke Weaver in New York. And then
I don't mean to interrupt. Well, no, I'll talk about it here in a second. Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
And I got Sawyer Gibson Long over 5.5 Ks at minus 120. So you had him on PrizePicks. I got him on the betting side.
Yeah, I might even go and look and try to combo Reagans and Gibson Long on strikeouts today and just do a little strikeout parlay. But okay, so going over to the bets, my top bet, number one, at least number one, was the Diamondbacks Yankees over at 4.5, and it's plus money. And that's what I was going with because I don't understand it. The total line, at least last night, was 8.5. Yeah. Luke Weaver stinks.
He's garbage.
Brandon Pfaadt. I love Brandon. He gives up all the homers. Yeah. This could be a weird matchup, and it could be 1-2. And
one of those games you just look at it and go hashtag because baseball.
But if you are going to piece together, the puzzle of baseball, especially in betting, and go, okay, well, one of the worst fly ball pitchers in baseball is in New York going up against another trash pitcher in Luke Weaver on a hot Diamondbacks team that's trying to win games. I am taking the over. You can take 3.5 over, and I think you can get it around minus like 150, but it was even money at 4.5. So I'm taking the Diamondbacks and the Yankees over through the first 5 innings. If you don't want to get screwed, you can play the whole game. I'd be fine with the whole game, but I really like the first 5 going up against those two pitchers. I've also got the Boston Red Sox just taking the run line here, minus 1.5 through the entire game, and that's almost even money, at least when I saw it. And then my unique one is Kansas City, Houston through the first 3 innings under 2.5 runs. I actually hit this last show, that first 3. This one is Cole Reagans and Framber. So it's essentially going through the first part of the lineup. So first 3 innings, under 2.5 runs, minus 120. Kind of like that. DFS, what are we doing on DFS today?
DFS, we got an 11-game slate starting at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. It's a fun one. Some decent pitching, but a lot of great hitting. Pitching side, Pablo Lopez, your highest priced guy at 10-7 versus the Angels. That's a great strikeout upside one. Chris Sale in a big one at $9,200 versus the Chicago White Sox. Sale 10 Ks with I think it was 6 or 7 shutout innings his last time. The White Sox are trash. And then you got Sawyer Gibson Long is only 7.7 K against Oakland. You know what to do. Stacks, Atlanta versus Patrick Corbin, San Diego versus Dakota Hudson. I always feel like when I see Dakota Hudson and Luke Weaver, they're the same person, Spider-Man gif. Yeah. But You got San Diego versus Hudson, Boston versus Tukey, and then Arizona versus Weaver. If you want to go the flip side of the attack, Brandon fought with the garbage Yankees, knock yourself out. But those are some that I like there. And then some value pieces. Kyle Farmer's playing for Royce Lewis or playing third base. He's 2.8K. And a good matchup versus a call-up for the Angels and then their garbage bullpen. Mark Vientos continues to crush hitting almost 300 since in the month of September with 5 homers. He's 2.7K. And then Aaron Hicks, if you want to go in on Shane Bieber with some Baltimore Orioles, is only 2.5K.
What's Caminero? Probably 2, right?
I don't even know if he's on the slate. I'll check while you talk. DK has a horrible job of keeping call-ups available for when they get until the next day. But let me check while you do that.
Okay, to see if he's out there. Where in the world are Welsh and Corbin Carroll? There's only a couple more shows where we can travel. And as a matter of fact, I'm probably only going to do one next week. So this might be the second to last travel for Welsh and Corbin Carroll. But I feel like you want to tell me if he's on there or not.
Well, I had to go double check because Tampa Bay is not on the main slate. That's what it is. They're on
okay. So that's
they're on the early slate.
Yeah, so don't worry about it. Then don't even worry about it then. So we can look at them another time. But there's only really going to be one more we're going to do. Today's guess, disappointing or disappointment. That's where it is. So as always, let's set it up. I'm always dancing to the music. I'm like, dun, 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 dun.
Makes me want to go back and watch Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego as a kid.
Yeah, I should have got the music. What really would have been good, but if we had the parody song person that could have done a Where in the World is, but then done Welsh and Corbin Carroll, that would have been the really good one. We had some really funny guesses in here. I said disappointment. Frederick said Washington, D.C. There was one. Carly said Cowboys practice. Ooh. That was a guess. That's a very good one. Sabo said no bedroom jokes.
That's funny too.
Yeah. Tricks on you. You got to be in the bedroom to be disappointing. Ooh. Let's see. I thought there was another one. Multiple New York Giants. And that was a really good guess by a lot of you because obviously as a 49er fan, it was a great night last night. It was a very great night. But I hate to inform you, you're all incorrect. Bubba, I kind of feel like you might know, so I'm going to not have you go to a guess. So you can put it in the chat if you want real quick, because I want to say, you don't have a guess?
I don't, because this can go a million different ways, so I'm just going to wait and hear, because I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, basically.
All right, well, Welsh and Corbin Carroll
are
begrudgingly going to the Arizona Fall League. Yes, the Arizona Fall League rosters were released, and they stink. They are not good. If you're a prospect person like I am, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. There's a lot of fun prospects to see. But overall, the rosters stink. The Arizona Fall League put a tweet out. Oh, hey, everybody. Remember all these great prospects we've seen like Julio Rodriguez and Ronald Acuna? LOL, there's nothing remotely close to that in this year's Fall League. There's actually like two of the 6 teams that might be unwatchable at that point. We are devoid of stars. Unfortunately, we're here for the Arizona Fall League, and it's something I've been kind of setting up that I thought this was going to happen based on the amount of players I heard that were declining because players are now getting paid year round, which is good for them, but it's bad for the Arizona Fall League. The rosters were officially announced today. There are some decent. What I'm going to headline here are some of the good players. But they're the only good, names you're going to know. So if you were to come to the Arizona Fall League, Harry Ford, probably one of the biggest names, is going to be in the Arizona Fall League. Ricky Tiedemann is official. Love that one for the Blue Jays. Colson Montgomery with the White Sox, Carson Williams, Kyle Manzardo. You've got a couple minor league guys, Abimelech Ortiz, who is one of the leaders in home runs in the minors. I love seeing him. Victor Scott stole over 90 bases in the minors. He's going to be great. Cooper Jerpy, Kevin Parada, Robert Hassel is coming. Yeah. And then I know that sounded like a lot that I gave you, but remember, this is over 6 teams. It is nothing remotely close to what and I've been going to the Fall League for aggressive, like hardcore, I've been going for 8 years. And this is the worst set of prospects that have been out there. But again, it's not to say that there won't be really fun stuff, because we get a lot of major league talent that comes out of the Arizona Fall League that is going to, or a lot of talent that hits the majors. We had almost 40 players from last year's Fall League hit the majors. I think that's going to look a lot less this year, but there's just a lot of relief pitchers. There are some fun names in there, but there is no Jackson Holiday. There is no Jackson Chourio. And like they tweeted out, there's no Vlad. There's no Acuna. The top prospects in baseball are avoiding coming to the Arizona Fall League. And that is part of really not just the pay, but I think it is also part of what's happened with baseball and how prospects are being treated. Jackson Holiday, as I was kind of told, was a possibility, but he had a long season. They were aggressive in how they pushed him all the way to AAA, and how teams are pushing prospects is changing the desire for these guys to go to the Arizona Fall League now. And it ain't super great. The All-Star game might still be great when you're here, Bubba. There'll still be some fun names. And like I said, there's going to be pop-ups, which that's one of the biggest keys of the Fall League. But woof.
Not good at all. So at least at FPAS, we'll have a great time at the local bar next to Mesa Stadium. It'll be good.
Yeah, again, like the Fall Stars game will be fun.
And the Derby will be awesome. The Derby was great last year. I'm looking forward to it again this year.
Abimelec Ortiz I'm going to call it right now. He's going to win the Home Run Derby, and he'll be in it this year. Chase DeLauder is another. Again, there are some names. I don't want to make it out. They're like Peoria. I was explaining the Peoria team is like the best, but it would be like a middle pack team of any normal Arizona Fall League. It's better than it was last year, but there's a couple teams that are going to be pretty hard to watch. Kevin Alcantara's, a couple others. There's a lot of good players. There are no superstars, which this league every year does produce a superstar or two, and it doesn't look like they're there. So we went to the Arizona Fall League, and all we got was this t-shirt. So that's what we did.
All we got was this t-shirt.
Home run calls. Who are you doing for the weekend, by the way?
Since it's the weekend, I'm going Cubbies because they get that wonderful Rockies matchup in Wrigley. I'm going Christopher Morel. Let's have some fun this week, and I see at least 2 home runs coming this weekend.
Okay, nice. I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. Against my Diamondbacks here. Hopefully it doesn't pay off too much. You know what? No. Screw that. I'm going with Corbin Carroll. We're going with Corbin Carroll for the weekend. I'm not vying for anything in the home run contest anymore. I'm a big fat loser in it.
He's a homer now, everybody. The truth has come out.
I can't do it, big fat loser, because I am no Blue Harvester. Here's the big board. Blue Harvester has a 5 home run lead going into the second to final weekend. JJ Tater's 55, Razor Ramon 54. Wonky is still up there at 48. I think I'm at 44. I've kind of just stalled out. So hopefully I can get to like 45, but that is the big board. Those are where the homers are. And that, my friends, is everything. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I know it's playoff run. There's a whole bunch going down, but we're going to be here for you for the final week of leading off next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Bubba and I hoping to try to pry Joe Pisapia away from football for one show to get him over here, but it's final week, man. So I love you all. I'm so glad to have hung with you all season, and I'm excited to do it again next year. But have a great weekend. Lock down those championships, and we will talk to you next week right here on Leading Off. Peace, friends.
So you.
Goodbye.